Sometimes destiny hides behind disappointment. She almost walked away from the blind date that night, until a little girl walked in and said, "You're the one from Daddy's story?" And in that moment, everything changed. Sometimes love doesn't come when you're ready. It comes when you've almost given up. If this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe, because some stories deserve to be felt, not just heard. The restaurant was warm and golden, the kind of place where conversations felt softer and time moved slower. Emily sat at a corner table, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. She'd promised her best friend she'd give this one blind date a chance, but deep down, she already regretted it. She had done this before, the small talk, the polite smiles, the silent disappointment when it never led anywhere. Love had started to feel like a myth she wasn't meant to find. She checked her phone again, 7:40 p.m. Still nothing. Maybe this Daniel had decided she wasn't worth showing up for either. She sighed, ready to leave, when the restaurant door opened. A tall man in a dark suit entered, glancing around nervously. His eyes landed on her, soft but steady. "Emily?" he asked, his voice deep but kind. She nodded, startled. "Yes, you must be Daniel." He smiled apologetically. "Sorry I'm late. I was picking up my daughter from ballet. I didn't want to be that dad who forgets." There was something real in his tone. No excuses, just honesty. Emily found herself sitting back down, curiosity flickering where frustration had been moments before. Dinner began with silence, the kind that feels uncertain at first. Daniel asked about her work, her hobbies, and her love for books. Slowly, her guard began to drop. He wasn't trying to impress her. He was simply present, attentive, grounded, human. When he spoke about his daughter, his face softened. "She's 7. Smartest little girl I know. Lost her mom when she was 5. The way he said it, quiet, without pity, made Emily's chest tighten. She wanted to ask more, but didn't. She just listened, and for a while, the world outside that restaurant didn't exist. Between shared laughter and hesitant smiles, the night began to feel different. Daniel wasn't like the others. No arrogance, no games, just warmth. Yet Emily kept her walls up. She had been here before, a connection that felt too good to be true, a promise that faded by morning. She sipped her coffee, forcing herself to remember that this was just dinner. Nothing more. But when Daniel looked at her, not at her dress, not at her phone, but her, something inside her softened. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was the first time in years she didn't feel invisible. As the waiter brought the check, Daniel smiled shyly. "I'd like to do this again if you'd let me." She hesitated, caught between fear and hope. Finally, she whispered, "Maybe." He laughed softly. "I'll take maybe." And for the first time in a long time, Emily walked out of a restaurant not feeling rejected, but curious. She didn't know that her maybe would soon become the moment that changed everything. Emily froze for a moment, unsure if she'd heard right. The little girl's voice was soft, almost musical, innocent yet certain. "Are you Miss Emily?" she repeated, tilting her head. Her teddy bear's ribbon swayed as she clutched it tightly. Emily knelt down to meet her eye level, still puzzled but smiling. "Yes, I'm Emily. How do you know my name?" The little girl's face brightened with pride. "Daddy talks about you all the time," she said, as if revealing a precious secret. Emily blinked, surprised. "Your daddy?" The girl nodded eagerly. "He said you're the one from his story." Emily's heart raced, her curiosity sparking. "What story, sweetheart?" she asked softly. The girl's eyes sparkled with innocence and truth. "The one where he said, 'One day, I'll meet someone who makes the world quiet again.'" She grinned, hugging her bear. "He said that's you." The words struck Emily so deeply she couldn't speak. That wasn't something a child could invent. It was something felt, something real. Her throat tightened as warmth spread through her chest. Before she could respond, she heard footsteps behind her. Daniel stood in the doorway, slightly out of breath, his expression caught between surprise and embarrassment. "Lily," he said gently, "I told you to wait in the car." His daughter turned to him, frowning slightly. "But Daddy, I wanted to meet her." Emily stood up, wiping at the corner of her eyes, trying to hide her trembling smile. Daniel stepped closer, his voice low but sincere. "I didn't mean for her to say that," he murmured. "But she's right." Emily laughed softly, the sound breaking through her tears. "You two are unbelievable," she said, shaking her head. Daniel smiled, not the polite kind, but the kind that said everything words couldn't. "So," he said gently, "what do you say we stop calling it a blind date and start calling it a new beginning?" Emily's heart fluttered. She wanted to say something clever, something calm, but before she could, Lily reached out her tiny hand, slipping it into Emily's. "She already said yes, Daddy," she said confidently, her eyes gleaming with childlike certainty. Daniel chuckled, a sound that carried relief and hope all at once. Emily looked at him, her hand still in Lily's, and whispered, "Maybe she's right." The three of them walked out together into the glow of the city. The night air was cool, filled with the hum of traffic and laughter from nearby streets. Daniel walked beside Emily, his hand brushing hers now and then, shy, cautious, hopeful. Lily skipped ahead, humming a tune only she seemed to know. As they passed under the streetlights, Emily realized something she hadn't in years, that love doesn't always arrive when you're ready. Sometimes it finds you when you've already given up, and in that moment, surrounded by light, laughter, and second chances, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. Sometimes love doesn't come when you're ready. It comes when you've almost given up. And if this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe, because some stories deserve to be felt, not just heard.